The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of our guests. The views and the opinions of the guest do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutmen channel, nor its host. Our guests' opinions are their own. This channel is for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only, and utilizes fair use materials in accordance with applicable laws.
I promise you that. Also, let's not even go into the supplemental insurance like accident, disability, cancer, medical bridge. Those policies won't pay you. It doesn't matter if you've paid into that policy 11 months through your employer. If you haven't satisfied the elimination period, they can accuse you of having that illness or accident prior to the policy coverage being effective, and they won't pay you.
Hey, drivers, what if telling the truth costs you your job? What if pulling back the curtain on a billion-dollar industry made you a complete threat? What if educating people about life insurance was more dangerous than selling it? That's exactly what happened to TikTok creator Titan, who says she was fired from her job after using her platform to expose what really goes on inside the world of insurance, and particularly in this case, life insurance, and why most people are blindly paying into a policy they'll never benefit from.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
What's going on, drivers? Welcome back to the channel. I am Lockoutmen, and our story begins with a former employee of a major insurance company. We're not sure which one it is. Based on her testimonial, it's either Colonial Life or another insurance. For a while, she worked in the industry, helping customers understand their life, accident, disability, and supplemental insurance policies. But behind the scenes, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. So, while clocking in for her day job, she also used her social media platforms to break down real-life scenarios. See, drivers, here's what she put out there. What happens when your grandparents outlive their universal life policy? Why cash value in a whole life insurance often disappears? And why some supplemental policies conveniently don't pay out when you need it the most. And see, drivers, these videos right here, especially on TikTok, they gain millions of views, massive reach, a serious impact on the insurance company that she works for. That's why the company allegedly launched an investigation, an internal investigation on her social media accounts. And they decided to cut ties. The official reason? Well, she violated their ethics policies and shared internal information. But of course, her side is that she never mentioned the company's name, she never mentioned the policyholder's name, and she never mentioned anything else pertaining to the company that she worked for.
Hold on. So the company I worked for accused me of violating code of conduct and ethics. They also accused me of providing information on social media about their company and how their policies work, and they didn't feel safe with me continuing to work there. AKA, I was terminated because they didn't like the fact I was educating people on how life insurance works. What they don't want you to know is that they want you to outlive that policy, or if you die, you're still not getting that cash value back. Your beneficiary, nobody gets it. So let's say your grandmother, she's 78 years old. She's been paying into this policy since she was 25. That policy has $15,000 or $25,000 in cash value. If she dies, nobody gets that money. If she outlives the policy, which is possible, and it happens all the time, nobody gets that money. Universal life and whole life policies are only designed to go to the age of 95 at the very most. Some may go to 100, but 90% of those policies don't even last that long. So if your grandparent or your mom grows to be, or your granddad grows to be 88, 90 years old, you're likely going to bury them without any coverage if you get insurance with Unum or Colonial Life.
So drivers, she just wanted to educate the public on how these policies work in general. But the company just didn't feel safe with her working there. But drivers, what do safe really means in this situation? Look, insurance, especially life insurance, is one of the most misunderstood products in the country. And it's not that by accident. See, these policies profit off of your ignorance. They profit off your fear. And most importantly, it profits when you pay into it, but never collect on it. See, here's the uncomfortable truth, drivers. Many universal and whole life policies aren't designed to truly benefit the policyholder. They're structured to benefit the company. A lot of them lapse before the age of 95. Some don't even build enough value to be worth it. Others requires perfect payment histories for decades. And when hard time hit, driver, that security that you pay into evaporates. And the cash value you thought your family would get after you pass, in most cases, that disappears as well. See, your beneficiary only received the death benefit, but not both. See, drivers, that's not a technicality. See, that's the fine print that keeps the insurance industry rich. And then when we get to those add-on policies like accident, cancer plans, through those employers, the companies can easily deny claims based on pre-existing conditions, timing, and or fine print loopholes. So drivers, you end up paying for peace of mind that doesn't hold up when you need it the most. Now, see, drivers, back to Untighten, right? She didn't steal files. She didn't leak personal data. She just explained how the system works. And in return, she got terminated. I kind of think that was a retaliation thing, but in reality, it's what I said before. You leaked information, whether you didn't say the company or the people, you still leaked vital information that the company didn't want out there. I get it. You was educating people on the information that you was receiving from work. So, I mean, that's a good thing to know, understanding for people that's thinking that they're getting a good deal with these insurance companies. I always say that these insurance companies are the bane of existence. You damned if you do and you damned if you don't. If you don't use it, you just putting money into it. But then when it comes time to use it, you got to go through hoops in order to get it. Let's say you got a homeowner's insurance and you've been paying into this homeowner's insurance for years and years and years and years and years. And then oops, up all of a sudden, a bad thunderstorm or a bad snowstorm comes through, or whatever the case comes through and mess up your roof. Okay, you got homeowner's insurance, right? You think that was supposed to protect it, right? You call them up, you let them know what happened. They send an adjuster out there to assess the damage and to cut you a potential check to get it fixed. Okay, they come out there, they check it out, they look it over, and then a couple of days later, you get a letter in the mail saying, oh, well, your roof is not covered because of the bullshit that they'll come up with to not to cover it. So you call them, you contest it, you like, hey, I've been paying, dollars and dollars and dollars into the insurance, only to find out that somewhere in the fine print that you guys unfortunately didn't let me know, but I understand it's my fault because I didn't read the fine print before I signed it to find out that, oh, it's not covered because of wear and tear or anything that you guys decide to come up with and not to cover it. So now you got a damaged roof. Now you got to figure out how to get your roof fixed because the insurance didn't cover it. So I do appreciate the fact that this young lady did come out and kind of explain, what's going on behind the scenes. But at the same time, you know, you're putting information out there that these companies don't want out there. And considering the fact that you did, kind of put your job at a situation. And they found out, they looked it up, and they said, hey, you using the information that you're learning from the company to put out there in the world for people to know, and we don't want that information out there. So by you saying, oh, well, I didn't mention the company's name, I didn't show the logo or anything like that, but what you did do, you used the information that you occurred to put out there, and that's why, unfortunately, you got terminated. And that's why they don't feel safe with you. That's why they felt you was a security risk. In other words, you became a liability that they did not want on their payroll. They also got into their feelings because, hey, what we looking like paying somebody that's over here leaking valuable information that we don't need out there? See, drivers, you guys need to hear voices like hers, especially when the mainstream won't say it. See, insurance companies aren't mad that you're wrong. They're mad when you're right. And when the truth costs them money, they just call it a conduct violation. But what they're really doing is protecting their system. See, assurance should be about protection and not profit at your expense. And the employees who care enough to educate about the people, I guess they should be celebrated and not silenced. So I would say shout out to Untighten for standing on principle, even when it cost her job. I guess sometimes walking away from a paycheck does open the doors to a real purpose. So drivers, in this situation where everything is for content, not everything needs to be shared. If you're working for the company, yeah, you might want to keep that door shut until you either leave the company or, in her case, get fired for the company. Then I guess you can come back and share everything that you have known about the company and or industry that you were once in. But while you're working for the company, they going to find your social media. I do not understand why people don't understand that. Companies will find social media. And just because you don't mention the company that you drive for or the people that you're talking about, they going to figure it out. Those references that you're saying, they going to find out that you're talking about them. So again, drivers, some stuff, especially if you're still working for the company, you might just want to hold off until you leave the company. Until next time, everybody.
What do you think? Have you or someone you know ever had issues with insurance policies not paying out? Or maybe you've been fired for speaking truth on social media? Share your stories with me at lockoutmenpodcastguest at gmail.com. And if you're watching this, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts.